Old school Pokemon here, back again with my usual co-host, Catch 'em All Collectibles, Dan, on the Pokeflips podcast.
In this video, we highlight a clip from our most recent podcast. We hope you enjoy. So Ray asking, can we get a Hurlocker hint? I like that. On the mindset and identifying cards/sealed product to speculate on. How do you feel about Pokemon rehashing EX cards? So kind of 2-in-1 there.
It's tough. So with the rehashing of concepts, I'm not like always super sold on them because the concept itself is not something that can be disentangled when you're assessing its success in the market from the way that it's implemented. So like something from Shiny Vault has nothing to do with Neo signings, right? Like Neo shinings. And so the way that it's implemented matters a lot, and that impacts like how I speculate on it. And the purpose of me even bringing that up is that like what you're saying, like rehashing the EX cards, like I would just wait and see how it goes. I'm more interested usually in new elements to the TCG, and then even then I'm usually only interested in like the very beginning. So, I think about like the full art promos that came in was it mythical pin boxes or something in like 2016. I remember those full arts, but like I only bought the first one, and that was like the best decision that I made because like the later ones are just worth nothing, but the Mew is worth like way more, like by percent growth. And then I look at like tag teams. Like tag teams are something that I did not take enough advantage of. I just didn't have enough resources at the time, and I seriously regret that was the case. I guess like I couldn't have done anything differently, but man, I wish I'd found a way to buy more of them because I just love tag teams. I think that like I remember being at Worlds when they announced them, and like I was not convinced that they were novel enough, and that was a mistake. Like I think that anytime you have something novel like that, you got to jump on those early ones, and especially like the highest rarity ones. Like it works out so well and it makes so much sense. Legend pieces, another one. Where if I had been more aggressive about those cards, I think at that time I definitely didn't have the resources. And so I was looking at it and I was like, well, like these legend pieces, like, are people going to like them? They've got like 2 cards to them. And I find myself doing that with V Union as well. But it's like, the artwork was just insane. And like, I wish I had realized how good the artwork in HGSS was, because I probably would have been able to like make better decisions based on that. So when I'm like the mindset that I have when I'm trying to identify things to speculate on is I'm really looking for something novel, or I'm looking for like just like home run fundamental characteristics, which like Remix Bout was like probably my most, I don't know if you call it famous, but like my friends know that I've made a huge call on Remix Bout and it paid off really well. But that, again, you're talking, those were tag teams, high hit ratios, low cost basis, had proven a high threshold before, final release, several years aged already from the initial release, contains Kanto starters. I mean, it's like the fundamentals on it were crazy. Like the number of things it had going for it, like is just like so good. So yeah, it's like, what EX cards are they releasing? If they release one set and it has the Kanto starters and they're all EXs and they all come from that, you should buy that for sure, and if it has, dope original Ken Sugimori artwork on the cover, buy it, buy them all, like there's crazy things that can happen. But you're going to have to look at sort of those fundamentals, like the fact that it's an EX isn't enough. Like the fact that they're rehashing EXs isn't enough. You need to say how it's implemented on a broad scale to see if that's going to be a compelling and collectible way to approach the hobby in the future. But then you also, within that, need to look at the micro scale of what does each individual release look like? How are they doing it? And if you're going to speculate blind, go for the first set. That's what I would say.
And if it says Ultra Premium in the name and there's 3 Charizards in it, that's probably decent, right?
Right. That's probably a good call. I mean, with that one, all that's going to come down to is what's your cost basis, right? If you have a cost basis of distributor release, yes, of course you're fine. But like if you have a cost basis of like full retail on release, that's less certain. And if you have full market on release, that's even less certain. And like it becomes really challenging. Like, I mean, especially with like the absence of cheap grading available, which is a good way to help augment the long-term returns on those types of investments. Yeah, I don't think it's like as obvious as it would have been under different circumstances, but we'll see. Like we'll see how many come out, because I've always been a huge fan of promos. Like the conditions that promos are released under are just inherently so much scarcer, and that scarcity, that fundamental scarcity, is everything. Like that just like absolutely determines the full potential of what a card can be. And so, like for like individual cards, I'm a big fan of like the alternate art evolution full arts that came out, in English, because they only came in these like promo boxes that weren't re-released, that were immediately expensive, and the allocation numbers weren't good, and the artwork's amazing, and the characters are solid, and like it has like really good fundamentals, right? Like I'm vibing with those. I like those. I still have a fairly long horizon on them. Like especially with like grading costs being not great right now. I'd rather wait, and if I can get that down to like, I mean, maybe 15's a pipe dream. I don't know. Plastic's a lot more expensive than it used to be. Like there's like wages are higher. There are like factors that like maybe I need to like. I may find that I like readjust my perspective on what it means for grading to be cheap. Like that very much could be. Like I 100% still have. Like I've come up, like I'd say like mentally, like where I'm at is like I remember the sub $10 days, and so like I crave like a $12 because it's like I'll go up 20%. How about that?
Yeah.
Like I feel like I'm negotiating with destiny. But we'll see like where it actually lands. Like I may end up finding that like even 15 I think is like a steal. Like that could very well be. Could be 18 is the cheapest. Like maybe we find out that, and that's just how it is. And so be it. I'll just have to change the way that I approach the hobby. And if you can't do that, you don't deserve to be in it anyway. You're just going to get burnt out. You're going to die. You're going to lose all your money. So it's like, I don't know. I feel like that's kind of like how I feel about it. There are good things still happening, but like set cards are like already at a disadvantage.
Yeah, Remix Bow. I remember you posted on Instagram a nice post there of one of your pallets. Quite the post there.
It's awesome. Yeah, I don't know. But that was kind of a conversation starter, Like I was like, how many other people are doing this? I don't know. I have no idea. There could be tons of people doing this. There could be a dude that has like a warehouse remix bout. I don't know. I have really no idea, genuinely.
You're that dude.
Especially it's like the hobby's so much bigger now. I don't have a warehouse. I wish. I don't have that much money. That'd be crazy, dude. Like and that's one of those things too where it's like all my money's in the hobby. So like, the general liquidity of the hobby like impacts my ability to like make another move, right? So yeah, it's like even like I don't have any money that's like not coming from selling other cards. So it's like that's like definitely a big factor. And yeah, I wish though that if I could have bought a warehouse, I would have. You know what I mean? Like I pretty much like, and also too like just like having the perspective on like what's a lot of booster boxes. Like if you're stuck in like a 2016 mentality on Japanese booster boxes, like you're probably playing it way too cautious, Like they were really niche at one point, and purchasing 10 cases would have been like risky. Like that would have been like a really deep place to go. But I think now the market's so big, like you could buy 1,000 of anything sealed, and I don't like modern, right? Like, and I don't think it's. I don't think you're gonna be a drop in an ocean, Like you're not going to affect prices. And I had like many thousands of remixed bout boxes, and like the price trajectory didn't change. Like if anything, I found myself often holding it back, not pushing it forward. Like there were a lot of situations where like eBay was just like moving up, creeping up, and then I would go on and I'd realize like not only is there nothing below me, but like some of the listings above me have sold out, because eBay's weird because like sometimes you don't find like specific listings and people will buy off of like criteria that's strange. They're not always like the lowest price only. And so there were times where it's like, okay, like I'm at 100, but the market's at 115. And then I bump it to 115, and then I'd be like, okay, well I'm at 115 and the market's at 125, and it's been 2 months. And so yeah, like having gone through that experience where I did go really, really deep, and I kind of tested like how deep are the waters, like with this modern product, like deeper than any of us are ever going to be able to. Like, I think you could put $1 million into a modern booster box and not be relevant.
And just for context too, what like you said on the UPC, very important that you're discussing like ground floor wholesale distribution prices, not not YOLOing at $300 pre-order prices on TCG Player.
Yeah, no. If you were buying them at 100, yeah, your return's terrible. But if you're able to get 1,000 boxes from Japan into the United States at under 40, well, that's crazy. And now, I mean, Japan's a great place to look too for opportunity right now because I almost I just told somebody yesterday, I think, that I don't know to what degree I'm a Pokemon flipper versus a Forex trader right now because the Japanese yen is so weak against the dollar, or you could say the US dollar is so strong against the Japanese yen right now that almost everything in Japan is on discount. Yeah. And so that's where I've been looking. I've spent more money on singles in the last 6 months than I think maybe ever on Japanese singles because it's just the currency exchange is so ridiculously in favor of the American dollar that you can just buy so much stuff. And the market has corrected some now, which is why I'll talk about it. But the market hasn't corrected entirely. There's still a lot of opportunity on the table in that regard.
I know Nick and I talked a little bit the other day about what we might ask you, and didn't you have a question towards Eevee Heroes, Nick?
Yeah, I was gonna ask if you've been able to pick up any more Eevee Heroes with the reprint, and if you've noticed have any idea on what kind of size the Eevee Heroes reprint is looking like.
So Japan doesn't have direct distribution right now. So that's what makes it really difficult is that we're not in a situation where an online Japanese retailer can order a product from a Pokemon distributor and get it. And so that's kind of where all of our logic comes from with English boxes. Japan's a totally different game. So they're still on blind distribution, lottery style. They're still doing heavy audits to they're going to physical stores and checking their receipts and making sure they're not shipping them overseas. It just makes for a really weird environment. Yeah, I don't think a lot of people are privy to kind of just how much is happening there. So in terms of how do you even get a lot is kind of the first question. And then, I don't know through all those layers kind of how to assess how much is out there. And I have no knowledge of sort of what the on the ground scene is at retailers. So if 7-Eleven's getting boxes, I don't know if they're selling out or not. I don't, maybe they have a Walmart situation where there's a bunch of stuff on the shelf and they're trying to clear it out now. Or, maybe it's still hot, maybe it's still underprinted, I think Pokemon is more cautious with their Japanese product. So they're slower to roll out additional production. Which again, I don't know why that is. That could be capabilities. I mean, it's possible that it's much harder to scale the Japanese production, or it could just be that they, culturally do not like overproduction. They do not like excess. And so they're more cautious and they would rather re-release it several times based on demand than do that. But yeah, I mean, just generally you see this more cautious approach. So Eevee Heroes, I don't know how much is out there. I don't know how much was ordered. I don't know how the Pokemon company is interpreting those orders. I don't know what the distribution scheme is going to be at the end, but I suspect it's going to be a lot less than demand. I think that this is going to be a situation where you see a slight dip in product, but I don't think you're going to see a remix bout thing again. I don't think this is going to go to $40. I think this is still going to be clawing at the $100 mark, I think that it's a crazy set. How much could they really produce at this point without interfering with their production capability of getting ready for their high class pack, which is going to come out in the fourth quarter? They've got to be producing that stuff already. So yeah, that's a tough question. But I mean, for me, I'm still bullish on Eevee Heroes. I think that the signs kind of point to Eevee Heroes is going to be rare. It's a set, again, with super strong fundamentals. I don't think, Japan's a little bit different too, where reprints don't impact secondary market singles prices as much. So you get reprints in the United States and singles tank. There's just a whole lot of demand. That's not really like that in Japan. I mean, and Japan's weird too, because those singles just don't come back. Don't try to finish a black and white era full art set in Japan. You can't. In the United States, you can. You're not going to get, maybe you won't get the condition you want, You know, like maybe you won't get the prices you want, but you're always going to be able to finish the set. There's no era of Pokemon with regular set releases that you can't go and just finish a set. Doesn't exist, you know? Like every single one you can. You might have to make concessions on price and condition, but you're going to be able to finish that set. In Japan, you do not have that luxury. Like you can't even find a single booster pack for like generations of sets. Like it's so hard to find that. And there's a lot of factors that play into that. That would be a podcast in itself. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like just kind of like all of these factors that play into sort of the way that these releases are available to the United States, because they go through all these filters of peculiarities around distribution and purchasing and reception and market recidivism and all of these factors. So yeah, I would say like if I would not hold out forever. I cost base averaged. Like I bought some on the current dip because I think that there's a real possibility that the reprint will happen and it won't impact prices hardly at all. I don't know that that's the likely outcome, but it was likely enough to make me cost base average. And I purchased a bunch before the reprint, and then we'll see what happens after the reprint. But everybody's approaching it pretty cautiously. Nobody's come to me and said, you know, you want 1,000 boxes. That hasn't happened. Yeah, that has happened with Pokemon Go. That has happened with VMAX Climax. That has happened with, you know, Dark Phantasma. There are other sets that are that's happening to. It's not Eevee Heroes, so make of that what you will.
Yeah, no, that was interesting. I did not realize how different distribution was in Japan compared to here. So that was definitely interesting. I do think, just complete guessing here, I do think we'll see a time where Eevee Heroes gets to around that $100 mark, but I don't think it'll get much lower. And I think that time period will be a fairly short window, just because it is such a popular set.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where, like, if Eevee Heroes goes to $40, it won't be $40 because I'll make it not $40.
Yeah,
you know exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
And there's 10,000 of me, you know, like that are willing to just immediately go in. Like, this set is too good, and yeah, I think you're going to run into a lot of that. Like, the market regulates itself, right? If the market's saying this is the price, like, there's a reason, and it's not being short printed. It's because it's a great set. We had no issues getting it when it first came out. This is like authentic growth.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Evolving Skies and Eevee Heroes obviously have a lot of overlap. You mentioned English singles suffer more typically when a reprint comes. Evolving Skies just got a reprint. I don't really know much about the size. I didn't get that much personally, but the boxes are like higher. I think they fell some when the reprint was announced, thinking the reprint was going to be really big, but the boxes have actually ticked back up from where they initially dipped to, and then Moonbryon is like still holding pretty strong. It's wild. Demand is a strong one. Really strong demand can do a lot of things.
Hope you guys enjoyed that video. Be sure to smash that like button. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel and press that notification bell so you don't miss any more of our future content.
Another way to support the channel, both of our eBays are linked below via an affiliate link. Thanks for watching, and we will catch you all later.